We continue to break down the GolfWRX Members' Choice Top 5 list. Today we got two categories in the long game, fairway woods and hybrids. Brian Knutson will join us again to discuss that list. A couple new club releases last week, one full launch, one on the pre-sale, and Kevin Kraft's going to join us for some trivia. That's all coming up on this episode of the Second Swing Thoughts podcast. Welcome on into the Second Swing Thoughts podcast, filling in for Drew Mahold, though he will join us for a few segments coming up later in the show. Got a great episode here for you. GolfWRX's Brian Knutson's going to join us. We're going to be talking about the Members' Choice voting, this week's categories, top 5 hybrids and top 5 fairway woods. Definitely some interesting results in both of those, with some one company being very represented in one category and another kind of dominating another. So make sure you stay tuned for that. Master fitter Kevin Kraft joins us for a quick segment. We're going to put his club knowledge to the test in some trivia coming up. But first, we're going to talk about the latest golf news in a segment we like to call The Turn. Of course, it's almost 2 weeks old now, but Scotty Scheffler, just capped off one of the most dominant runs in PGA Tour history. 7 wins, first time since Tiger in 2007. Then you add an Olympic gold medal, and it is certainly a year to remember for Scotty. And I think the most interesting thing with, his whole season is, a lot of it was fueled by a simple switch of a putter. Scotty had been toying with putters for, a while now, as it was kind of the one part of his game that, held him back from truly becoming a dominant player. He's obviously very good, but that move into that Spider X with the L neck there certainly just gave him the confidence on the greens that maybe he was lacking in the Tour Championship, about 10 days ago. He was third in the field in strokes gained putting, and if you had his ball striking with that performance on the greens, he's going to be very hard to beat, and that's exactly what we saw this past season. So just an incredible season for Scotty, and it shows you just the importance that, finding that right putter can do for you. Maybe you think this is the right fit for you, but, without going through a testing and getting through a fitting, you might find something that actually suits your eye a little better and, gives you more consistency on the greens. And I think as golfers, that's, everything we're looking for. On the women's side, we got the Solheim Cup this week. The U.S. takes on Europe. Europe has retained the cup last year. Obviously, a little change pace being 1 year ago as they get back on their normal schedule. So should be some excellent golf. Make sure you check that out. If you like the Ryder Cup, you like the President's Cup, you'll want to watch this. It is awesome golf. So make sure to check that out. And then in club news, we had a couple launches last week, full launches, TaylorMade with the P7CB, P770, and the High Toe 4 wedges. I think those P7CBs are what really stood out to me, kind of a brand new concept, not brand new concept, but a brand new club, almost in place of their P7MC. It's got a cavity back to it. Colin Morikawa, I think, had been playing the prototype for a couple of years. And so TaylorMade, adds more player-preferred irons to their lineup. So really interesting that, that player's cavity has kind of become the new trend. You saw it, with Ping, they had the Blueprint S, Blueprint T combo. TaylorMade now adds their player's cavity to it with the P7CB. So should be an excellent players club for TaylorMade. And then last Thursday, Mizuno officially launched their new Hot Metal series. The 925 Hot Metals comes in a Hot Metal Pro, and Hot Metal High launch. Really big game improvement iron for Mizuno. It's really made waves in recent years. Make sure to check out our conversation with Mizuno's Chris Vishal on our YouTube channel as he kind of breaks down all the technology that went into this model, the 925s, compared to what they had, in the 923s, 921s. And I think the big theme there is consistent ball speed across the face, made it even more forgiving, which, for the golfers that like to play those kinds of irons, that is a huge improvement there. So should be another great club from Mizuno. But enough about that. Let's go into our featured topic of the day, the GolfWRX Members' Choice Top 5 Fairway Woods and Hybrids. Like we mentioned before, some interesting representation throughout both lists, including, Titleist having a big part in one of the categories and Ping having a resounding winner in another, but ultimately just a lot of great clubs. So Drew Mahold's going to be joined by GolfWRX's Brian Knutson as they're going to break down these lists and kind of discuss, everything that went into the voting and give their thoughts on what the results provided.
All right, now joining the Second Swing Thoughts podcast, we have a special guest. We've been going through GolfWRX top 5 results in the members' choice voting, and we have Brian Knutson on from GolfWRX to cover fairway woods and hybrids now. Brian, thank you for joining us. Again, it's a special time of year, I know, for you guys, because you guys like to get the membership involved and get these get these results out there for people to see. Fairway woods and hybrids. Before we get into the list here, is there anything golfers should be surprised by? Like, is there any big surprises that they're going to see here, or is this kind of what you would expect from the membership?
Again, thank you for having me back. I'm glad I didn't to get canceled after the first one, so that's awesome. It is exciting to see kind of what, like you said, what the membership has to say, because I mean, they're golfers who try a lot of equipment, and they're kind of golf nerds like us. And honestly, this one, I think when we get into hybrids, I think it's going to be a very interesting list. I think fairways is pretty straightforward. I think, nobody's going to be totally blown away. I mean, their favorite model might be, not there. But I think when we get to hybrid, the list is a little different than even I expected, especially the second half of it. So it's going to be interesting to talk about those, because I think if you haven't seen the list and you're just kind of tuning in, I think you're going to be a little shocked with what you see from hybrids, but fairways will be pretty solid. So it'll be an interesting episode here.
Yeah, I think in the driver segment that we did, you talked about how the members are maybe of a certain handicap demographic, or a lot of them are. And so that's why I think there's maybe one club in particular on the hybrid list that is a little bit surprising. So, but we'll start with the fairway woods.
Yep.
So number 5 on the fairway woods, TaylorMade QI10 Tour. Number 4 is the Callaway Paradigm AI Smoke Triple Diamond. Number 3, Titleist TSR2. Number 2, Ping G430 Max, and then number 1, TaylorMade QI10. So that's our top 5, and I guess I'm a little surprised. I know the TaylorMade fairway woods have been awesome this year, but seeing where I guess TaylorMade ranked in the drivers, and then seeing where they are now here in the fairway woods, there's 2 in the top 5, and the TaylorMade QI10 is the number 1. So is there? I guess are you surprised by TaylorMade's kind of uptick in representation in the fairway woods, or maybe what do you think is the reason for that?
Yeah, I would say I was a little bit surprised, but the more I've been kind of talking to kind of friends who are golf nerds and other people, some forum members that I kind of have, relationships with in terms of just, talking about gear, it's amazing how many people who have gone out and tried the QI10 and QI10 Tour have all sided towards the QI10. Really? Whether it's really good players plus handicaps, whatever, to, folks like me who are struggling to get back into the or the single digits, all of them seem to have hit the Tour, kind of liked it, and then went and tried the QI10 and kind of fell in love. It's really interesting that this year, the bonded version, the slightly more forgiving, a little bit higher launching model has been the more popular one. And we've seen the trend on Tour, and we always kind of say, people always say, like, what happens on Tour doesn't influence what I try or buy.
Right.
And that's not 100% true. But if you look in the bags of, Rory and Scotty Scheffler and, Tommy Fleetwood and all these guys, on the TaylorMade staff, they're all playing QI10s. They're not playing the Tour models, or very, very few. So I think the QI10 Tour, to me, I think it might just be a little bit too low spin. And maybe people aren't seeing the kind of window or the kind of shot they want. But that QI10 Tour, I mean, it's one of the drivers, like one of the fairway woods for me that I'm kind of like going in between. It is one of them for me as well. And it's a slightly bigger, profile when you look down on it. It's easy to launch. It goes high in the air. It's forgiving. If you catch it off the toe, hit it off a little bit low heel, that ball stays relatively straight. It still goes in decent ways. It's kind of one of those bread and butters where it kind of does everything, and it does everything really well. And I think people, the Tour is kind of sexy with the movable weight and a little smaller package, right, titanium. But when you get into the QI10, it just performs, and it works really well. But I'll say I'm a little shocked at number 1, but I'm not shocked that it beat out the Tour, because I've heard a lot of people who have been really siding with the standard QI10.
Interesting. Okay, yeah, because I feel like when we've seen, obviously at GolfWRX and on the website, you guys do all that what's in the bag stuff. I feel like there's a lot of players that are not contractor on staff with TaylorMade that have a QI10 in the bag, specifically maybe even a 5-wood or a 7-wood. Seems like it's a really popular club for that purpose. And so then the things you mentioned there, the high launch, the forgiveness, that obviously plays into that type of club quite a bit. Launching it into the air, getting it to stop on the green. So not super surprising then to see the QI10 up there in that regard. But it's just I was just fascinated to see the difference in the driver, I guess, rankings or results versus Fairway woods. Also wanted to mention the Ping G430 Max. That one, so I guess from the fitting perspective, right? I know our fitters, you know, I got to say this the right way, right? Because the QI10 fairways are obviously great performing, but the bonded hosel piece is, you know, our fitters like to play with things, right? They like to make adjustments. They like to tweak the hosel if they can. And so that's why I think they've maybe erred sometimes on the side of an adjustable fairway wood, like, you know, the next couple on the list there, the Titleist TSR2, Ping G430 Max, you know, if it came down to it, just because they love to make those tweaks and really dial somebody in. So I'll say that about those, and then also just G430 Max. All I hear is how easy it is to hit. So I guess I'm surprised that G430 Max was not number one for that reason. But again, I guess the you know, I got to think about who was voting on this, right? And it's not a bunch of like second swing club fitters. It's, you know, members that are trying these out, looking for performance, right? So from that perspective, it obviously makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and I agree that the G430 Max could have easily been number one. I mean, if you talk about an easy to hit fairway, it's hard not to put that, you know, the G430 Max in that conversation, no matter what. You know, that kind of shallower face, it's easier easy to launch off the turf and just hit it high. And the same thing a little bit with the TSR2 that came in right behind it at third. I mean, I think that's one of those fairway woods that, as much as you look at the WRX forum members and you say, oh, it's a TSR3 kind of crowd, the TSR2 in the fairway wood, you know, if it's somebody who's looking for, I want to be able to hit it off the turf, I want to be able to hit it off the tee, I want to, you know, have some forgiveness, I still want the distance, you know, they kind of want a really versatile fairway wood. I think the TSR2 fits that bill a little bit better than the TSR3 does. So, you know, seeing that there, I think, again, kind of that where the drivers, we saw a little more player focus. I think fairways, we do see a little bit of that more forgiveness because people are using them in different ways. And, you know, to see, like you said, the G430 Max, the TSR2, both right there, and then next to it, the AI Smoke Triple Diamond from Callaway, it makes a lot of sense to me. I mean, there's just players who are going to use these things differently, and it depends on who's voting. So, yeah, I agree. I think the G430 Max easily could have been number one. The TSR2, I'm not shocked at all to be there. And then the AI Smoke Triple Diamond, that one too, I could have seen the standard model be there as well. But the Triple Diamond I played the Triple Diamond from all last year. And again, I'm not a plus handicap or anything like that. And it honestly offered a little bit more playability than I thought it would have. You know, I thought it would have been more of a traditional fairway player there. And this year with the Callaway, same thing. I really like the Triple Diamond from the AI Smoke line. You can kind of miss it a little bit. You don't have to be perfect, and you can still get a good shot. And off the tee, it's an absolute rocket. So that one being on there is definitely worth it, because it is one of those that, for the player looking for some distance, a great shape, and something that they can kind of even work a little bit and still not have to be perfect, that Triple Diamond is really, really good.
Sure. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. In terms of models that aren't on the top five, again, we're not super shocked necessarily by any of these being included in the top five. Is there a model that you're surprised or maybe you think deserves to be in the top five?
Yeah, you know what, the one that I was kind of, and I didn't think it would make it, only because unfortunately this brand is just not known for woods, but I think Mizuno coming out with the titanium, the STG titaniums, I had a chance to hit those, and I'll tell you what, really, really impressed by what they're doing with fairway woods, especially in the titanium model, even the new ST Max and stuff like that. Mizuno's really made some solid woods, and unfortunately, they're just not known yet. You know, not enough people have really tried them, and they just don't have that whereabout of them. But that STG, the titaniums, were really, really good. I mean, really hot faces. They were forgiving. They had some adjustability to them, and, you know, again, really versatile fairway wood that did a lot of things, and you could set it up to do a lot of things as well with all the adjustment options. So I think that was one that, just in terms of performance and tech and all that, definitely could have made this list. It's just, unfortunately, Mizuno's not quite a wood company yet in terms of being known for it.
Right. They are getting there, though. They're
Oh, yeah.
continually growing their, I guess, spot in the market with the woods. The one now, this is going to be maybe controversial in terms of a snub, so to speak, because there's not really a category for it. I didn't mention with the drivers. I didn't mention with the fairways, but the TaylorMade Burner Mini. You could call it a fairway wood or a 2-wood. You could call it a driver. Maybe this is the wrong spot to bring it up, but I feel like a lot of players have put that in the bag. You see it on tour all the time. Guys it's almost like the use for a traditional 3-wood is almost kind of going away, where players are now, the lower handicap players or players with swing speed are going with essentially a 2-driver setup, something they can control off the tee like this Burner Mini, something they can bomb it with like their traditional driver. And then from there going into, say, a 5-wood or a 7-wood or something, or even further that, maybe they're going into a 2-iron or a 3-iron after that. But it seems like that club has been really popular for that purpose. So I wanted to give kudos to TaylorMade for that one because we've loved it in our testing. Both the 2023 model and then the copper version that's out this year have been awesome. So wanted to give that one a shout out. I know we've got a few Second Swing team members that are playing competitively, professionally, that have it in the bag and they've sworn by it. So really good stuff there from TaylorMade on that. I don't know if this is the right spot to mention that, but I thought I'd throw it out there.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I didn't really think about it in that way, but you're right. I mean, the people who are putting that in there are, there's some people who are replacing their driver and putting a mini in there because, they're more consistent, or the added loft, or, the ability to turn it over a little easier, whatever the case may be. It may be easier or better to hit than their driver. But you're right. There's a lot of players, especially, better players, who they've got driver and a mini. And then they go to, like you said, maybe a hybrid or 2-iron, whatever they go to. And you are right. That's a club that, for me personally, doesn't necessarily fit my bag with the way I hit it and in my game. But you're right. It's becoming more and more popular, and you're seeing more and more of them in not just tour bags, but amateur bags out there on the weekend. So, yeah, I like that choice, Drew. I think that's a good one.
I'm going to cough quick before hybrids. All right. I had to get that out. Okay. All right. So now into the hybrids. Again, we talked about this as being 1 or 2 models in here that might be a little surprising, Brian. So I'm going to jump right into what the top 5 list is, and we're going to start with number 5, which is the Titleist TSR1. Then 4 was the Titleist TSR2. 3 is the TaylorMade QI10 Rescue. Number 2, Titleist TSR3, and then number 1, the Ping G430. Now, I did see the voting results, and I believe Ping G430 ran away with the voting here. But
yeah,
to see all 3 Titleist TSR hybrids in the mix here was a bit of a surprise to me. So I guess general thoughts on that, Brian.
This is the one I was shocked with as well. When you kind of at the top of the episode said, what kind of stood out to you, I was really surprised to see all 3, especially the TSR1. But then, as you think about it, it is versatile in a sense where it's a little bigger, and you can use either a 335 tapered or a 355 taper tip adapter, a 370 adapter, a 335. I think you can use all 3 adapters in that head and make it kind of like a mini fairway wood. So it's got some versatility there, but I was really shocked to see that one. I mean, typically that's something that goes high. It tends to draw a little bit. And if you ever hang out in the GolfWRX forums, a drawing hybrid is kind of a death sentence for it.
Right.
So that one, yeah, very, very surprised to see that one on there, even though you can build it up in different ways. But yeah, I mean, the Ping G430, your Max, you're right. It got almost 39% of the vote out of everything. So, I mean, it ran away with it. But yeah, to see all 3 Titleists, I mean, that's really surprising. I would have thought for sure you would have saw, some Callaway or, Cobra or somebody else in there as well to kind of mix it up. But again, it just goes to show you that TSR line from top to bottom just was really, it's sad that we're saying was really good because now, GT will be coming, but
right.
To see what TSR did out there with all 3 of those models and between 1, 2, and 3, you're going to cover pretty much every golfer out there in terms of skill, handicap, what they're trying to do with the club. You've covered everybody. So it is pretty interesting to see all 3 of those. And if you're Titleist, you got to be pretty proud of that.
Yeah, that's why I'm surprised for the same reasons that you were, that to see Titleist TSR1 here because, again, a lot of the members that are voting on this are sort of the lower handicap players who a lot of them might be like even me where I don't even play a hybrid because of the reasons you meant, like that tendency to go left and not really be able to hit the cut that you want sometimes, right? I struggle with that with hybrids. And so to see a Titleist TSR1, which, like you said, has that draw tendency to it, it's surprising. But then, to your point, too, like, it can almost play a little bit like, say, a 7 would. It's got a little bit of a larger, I guess, footprint to it, and then you have adjustability there. You have all kinds of different loft options. So there are some reasons where it makes sense if you think about it. I'm still very surprised to see it in the top 5, given what's all out there. And, to see, for example, like, we didn't get anything from Callaway, or to see, obviously paying the G430, just the one model, did get a ton of the voting, or a ton of the respect from the members. But it's cool to see Titleist Series really get all the representation that it, in a way it deserves here in the top 5. So were you surprised by how much, though, G430 got the voting, or not so much in that regard? Because there's 3 TSR models, and that's maybe part of why, let's say Titleist has one hybrid for their TSR series. Maybe that's up there competing with G430.
Yeah, no, I definitely was surprised to see, almost 39% go to G430. It's a great hybrid. Absolutely phenomenal. Like you said, a fitter's dream. You can adjust it in a ton of different ways. Mm-hmm. It's extremely forgiving. It launches high. You're able to fit a wide range of golfers. I mean, you see them in bags on tour every week. You see them in, beginner players who are just starting the game. They're in their bags. So it's a hybrid that can do it all. And it is great, but still surprised to see 39% of the vote on that. And, the QI10 rescue, I think same thing. It's a little bit kind of not talked about as much. I think with some of the other options out there, the higher lofted fairways becoming a bigger thing, you're seeing kind of less talk about some of these hybrids, but I think that QI10 rescue, I've hit it. I think it's really solid. I think it's a good size. The shaping is really nice. And, you can put something, in terms of shaft, you can put something lower launching in there. It'll perform that way. You can hit it high. You can kind of do everything with it and still get some forgiveness. So, I was shocked at ping. And then, also I think, TaylorMade was well-deserved there as well. I think they have a really good hybrid in the QI10.
Yeah. I mean, again, we're all talking about really, really good hybrids here. It just kind of, obviously it comes down to which ones, the members tried and liked the best. Now, again, we do this with every, I guess, club category. We just did with Fairwoods. Is there any that you thought should be in the top 5 here that didn't end up getting there because Titleist took 3 of the spots?
Yeah, I mean, the one that I actually was kind of shocked at. Well, not shocked because I know why it's not on there, but I think the PXG Black Ops. I think their hybrid is really, really good. I personally play it. I guess that gives me a little bias. But I think they made a really good hybrid. It's compact, but it still offers, a decent amount of forgiveness. You have 3 weights on the bottom, an adjustable hosel. I mean, you can set it up for any type of shot shape or swing that you want. But the thing is that just not everybody's hit it. It's not as widely, readily available at all shops as, the rest of these are. I mean, you can walk in anywhere pretty much and hit a ping hybrid where, you're not going to find a PXG hybrid everywhere. But I think the Black Ops hybrid is really solid. I think that definitely could have made it just on performance, but I understand why it didn't, just because of, access to players. It's just not there, unfortunately, compared to everything else.
Sure. Yeah. I'm going to give a nod here to Kevin Kraft. He, plays professionally, and he's also on plenty of our content. He's a fitter at our Columbia store. He swears by the Cobra King Techs, King Tech hybrids, and he's got 2 in the bag, a 2 and a 4 hybrid, and he swears by those. So out of respect for him, I'm going to throw those in the mix here as a snub. He says every time he's in a fitting, and he tries to find something better for a golfer than that, and he rarely can. So, but there's some adjustable weighting on there. You can make it a little bit more forgiving if you'd like, or maybe a little bit more draw bias if you need, or vice versa. If you're trying to fight that draw, you're one of those players like me who, obviously struggles with it going too far left. You can adjust the weighting so maybe it's a little bit more in the toe, and you can adjust it that way. So I'll give the Cobra King Tech hybrid a bit of a shout out there. But again, we're talking about so many great hybrids out there, and if the player, maybe watching or listening to this is in need of a hybrid, they have an abundance of options to choose from for sure.
For sure, and I agree with you on that King Tech. I remember I gamed the two, the previous model that there's the current one out for 2024. I think it was 2022 it launched, but I gamed that one for a long time. And I tell you what, that was one of the, if you set it up the right way, it was one of the best anti-left hybrids you could hit, and it went a long way. It was forgiving. Yeah, I mean Cobra has again one of those kind of hidden gems in that King Tech hybrid.
Absolutely. Well, Brian, thank you for joining. Again, I'm gonna wrap through once again the Fairway and hybrid top 5. In the Fairways, we had the TaylorMade QI10 Tour at number 5. 4 was the Callaway Paradigm AI Smoke Triple Diamond. 3, Titleist TSR 2. Number 2, Ping G430 Max, and the number 1 TaylorMade QI10. We talked a lot about how the QI10 has been just so good performance-wise, and even getting a little bit more of the low handicap players versus the QI10 Tour this year. And then with the hybrids, Titleist getting 3 spots up there. TSR1 at number 5, TSR2 at number 4, the TaylorMade QI10 Rescue number 3, Titleist TSR3 at number 2, and then Ping G430 running away with the voting for the hybrid category. So, Brian, thank you again. We always have a lot of fun with the top 5 members' choice voting from GolfWRX every year. So, thanks for stopping by and giving us your thoughts.
Hey, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
All right, and to wrap up this episode of the Second Swing Thoughts podcast, we're bringing on a special guest. It's Kevin Kraft, master fitter from our Columbia store, and we're going to wrap up with a little bit of trivia here. So we've got Kevin's already told us he's scared of this because he's not. He said he's not good at trivia, but I feel like we're going up his alley with this. So, all right, we're going to do 2 of them. Okay, we're going to do 2 little trivia segments here, if you will. I'm going to give you 1 minute. It's going to start. The timer I'm going to start it once I finish asking the question, Family Feud style, okay? I want you to name as many Cobra drivers, just driver model names, as you can. Ready, go.
Okay, well, we'll do Dark Speed. We'll do Aerojet. We'll do LTDX. We'll do Rad Speed. Can I do like Rad Speed X, Rad Speed Extreme? There's all those as well. Dark Speed LS. Aerojet LS. Let's go a little further back. We've got what were they called? The pluses. Oh, goodness gracious. I can picture them. I can picture them. Too much pressure.
That's not doing much for us if you're just picturing them.
F9, F8, F7, F6. There was the what was the crazy one called? Oh man, the one you could open seconds. Up and look inside. I don't know. That's a lot of drivers right there. Like that's pretty well. Everything that's been everything that I've played.
Yeah, that's pretty good. All right, time is up. All right, yeah. So you did pretty well there. You did well. You got through the last several years. You got your Dark Speed, your Aerojet, your LTDX, Rad Speed. You got to the F9, F8. F7, F6. That's pretty good. Were you thinking of the BioCell?
That's the one. BioCell.
Yeah. BioCell when they had that. I think that was the one, or maybe it was the Amp Cell where you could have like the red and the blue.
Oh, and amps too. See, this is the thing. Like my memory is garbage. It's so bad. I mean, just it is. It's just bad.
So that's the good thing is we have that's another similar one for you here. We're gonna run through, but. We got your mind thinking in this, this field of, if you will. Okay. So what we're going to do for the next one here, we're going to see how many Cobra irons that you can name in 1 minute. All right. Oof. Ready, set, go.
Okay. So you got Dark Speed, you've got Aerojet, you've got LTDX, you've got the King CB, King MB. You've got the King Tour. You've got all the variations of those that they've had through existence. You've got the Amp Cell. You've got BioCell. You got BioCell Plus. You have F6. You've got F7. You've got F8. You've got F9. You've got Rad Speed. You've got the 1-length versions of all those there going back. Thank you very much.
So you got 10 seconds to name as many more as you can.
I think I'm
You did
tapped.
pretty well though.
I think I'm tapped. Yeah, that's about all I got. It's all the room I've got in here for that stuff.
Yeah, that's pretty good. You did pretty well. So we got also Forge Tech would have been one I was surprised that you didn't say.
Yeah, Forge Tech.
Yeah.
Considering it used to be my 5-iron, that would have made sense. Forge Tech X, that would have also made sense.
Yeah, and then you mentioned, I think you mentioned all the Fs, F9, F8, but F Max is another one.
RX.
Yeah, and then going back way back in the day, the Greg Norman Signature Forged, the King Cobra Oversized. You got all those in here too, but no, you did pretty well. That's our fun trivia segment. We wanted to tee you up as a Cobra player. We're in the Puma shirt right now. We had to tee you up a little bit.
Where is it? Where's my logo? There it is. There it is.
There it is. There it is.
Second swing, baby. Yeah. So the thing is, I know what to do with these golf clubs when I see them. I just can't name them.
Hey, I think you did pretty good. So no, that was a lot of fun, and
Cool.
I wonder if if the golfers watching, listening to this have any other further ideas for trivia like that. It'd be fun to get them. I know I would not have been able to do as well as you. I was able to look at the list as you were naming them off. So of course it feels like I could do pretty well, but I know under the heat of the moment there, I'm sure I would fall
tough under pressure.
So, yeah, exactly. But all right, that was fun, Kevin. And to let the golfers and viewers and listeners know, we do have some more podcast segments coming up here with Kevin in the next few episodes. So stay tuned and I guess be on the edge of your seat for those. Talking a lot about the top clubs this year. We're talking about Kevin's competitions and tournaments he's been playing and a whole lot more. So Kevin, thanks for joining for this fun trivia. And then viewers, listeners, make sure you're subscribed to Second Swing Thoughts and stay tuned for more content coming soon.
Thanks, Drew. Thanks, everybody.